Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I want to welcome you back to right out the gate, man. You get not one, but a little twofer action on Theater Throwback Thursday. Yeah, man. There was no way I wasn't going to do two today because I've seen the third one. We just talked about that, over the weekend. And then I just did the first one. I'm not going to make you wait a whole week to find out my thoughts on the middle movie of this series because I love this series so much. It's oh so good. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We are getting ready to dive in spoiler-free on How to Train Your Dragon 2. And like I said, this was another movie in this series that follows, the one before it and just makes you fall in love with the series even more. And as I said in my last video, I still rank 1 at the top. I slide 3 right in underneath that, and 2, right in below that. All in a really, really tight race. And the great thing, too, about the second one was DreamWorks was debuting new animation technology, things to do, I think, with lighting and things of that nature that kind of make the realistic feel of these characters much more real. And it's like the minute it comes on, you're just like, wow, man, we've been away for about 4 or 5 years. And wow, just watching it on Sunday, I watched 1, 2, and then 3. And each one just progressively as you see the animation. But 2 was probably the biggest jump of like, whoa, this is drastically better than 1 animation-wise. And it starts with just like all the little details, right? The little details in the new technology is really what pops in the first one. And like I said in my Hidden World review, the whiskers started popping up on Hiccup's face in 2, and you're like, wow, man, look at like the tiny little detail. And then by the time you get to 3, you're like, oh my gosh, how did you make it even better than that? But like I said, it's all the little things, man. The way the light shines off of Hiccup, or Toothless, or the water and the scenery, just so beautiful. The animation in this film is absolutely spectacular, especially for 2014 when it came out. And it's another great story with our favorite group of characters, man. In the second one, Hiccup, Stoic, Gobber, Astrid, Snotlout, Fishlegs, Tough Nut, Rough Nut, they're all back. And they're all having a lot of fun. I love the way this movie opens, because after you get to the end of the first How to Train Your Dragon, and the Vikings and dragons come to kind of a peace agreement almost, as we realize there was a much larger dragon that was controlling all the dragons and doing the things that they were doing as far as stealing food to not get eaten themselves. So once you establish this, oh my gosh, the world of Berk, oh my gosh, just so much more vibrant with all of the different dragons there. And then obviously with the dragons coming and becoming pets to all the Vikings, you also have to build more things for them to kind of hang out or play with. And it just brings a vibrancy to Berk that you didn't get in the first one. Even Hiccup says it, I think, every movie he opens and talks about Berk. And the first one's like, it rains and snows and it's terrible here all the time. And by the time you get to this one, boom, man, like the vibrancy of Berk is just amazing. And the animation throughout the entire film is spectacular. And like I said, all of our favorite characters are back. And what I really love about this series, right, is the growth of Hiccup. And granted, there's growth and evolution to Toothless, too. Every movie, you find out more about things he can do that you didn't know he could do. And watching their journey together is amazing. But the Hiccup, hero journey, if you will, that starts in the first one and just continues to get bigger and bigger. All of a sudden, it was like, here's this little weak kid who was terrified of dragons and couldn't kill him, to now he's like, almost like a warrior, man. And his brain, so smart, allows him to create technology like the Flame On sword, and different things that help them as they're going to save dragons from, different dragon trappers and things of that nature. And this is a really nice step up for Hiccup. And in his story, there's a lot. In the first one, we know that his mother, died, and he has no mother in the first one. Well, mild spoiler, his mom pops up in this one, and Valka, who's voiced by Cate Blanchett, a wonderful addition, man. You get some really, really nice, warm family moments when he finds his mom, and then when eventually he brings, his dad, and his dad is there, and he sees his mom again. It's one of those things, like, she's apologizing right away, like, I'm so sorry, I should have come back, I can't believe I left you with Hiccup for all these years, but, like, this is what was going on, and you find out that she was very similar to Hiccup in that she didn't want to kill the dragons and kind of creates a safe haven for the dragons herself. And she's like so, and the way Stoic reacts, oh, so good. You just, oh, it's so heartwarming. And you're just like, and their relationship is so beautiful to watch unfold. But that's the thing, man, in this one, like I said, is that hero's journey of Hiccup. And as he is moving through this one, you find out that there is, these dragon catchers, and it introduces another new character, voiced by, someone you might remember from Game of Thrones, another show with dragons. Kit Harington voices Eric, who's kind of the leader of this like band of kind of dragon pirates that catch these dragons and bring them back to someone named Drago. Go figure, right? Voiced by Jaimin Hansu. And that becomes kind of the main focus of this movie, is we have to stop Drago from coming to take all of the dragons. And you find out that he's had he's been aware of Valka, and that's kind of his nemesis, and now finds out that there's all these dragon riders out there. And the cool thing, too, is the expansion of the world. Hiccup is fascinated with how big the world is. He's constantly, as he starts to fly all over the place, creating a map, and getting to see that map grow between 2 and 3. Really, really cool. But that's kind of the main focus of our story. And like I said, the growth of Hiccup is just wonderful, as is the growth of Toothless. The things we learn about him and new things that he can do. Valka kind of, there's this bit where, Hiccup is constantly inventing things, and he's kind of doing almost like free-falling gliding, where he's creating kind of wings for himself, and Hiccup and Toothless can't coordinate this one move because the turns are too tight. And Valka shows us something that kind of helps with that. It's so cool when it's revealed. And as I said, I really enjoyed Cate Blanchett as the mom. She's badass. She's super cool. She's tender and loving. And that relationship is really fun to watch. As is the relationship with all of our good buddies from the first one. I love... and they kind of take a slight backseat to Hiccup's family. But you're seeing growth between him and Astrid as their relationship is more full on. They're kind of boyfriend, girlfriend. Snotlout is just constantly trying to be, the biggest and baddest of all of them as he kind of goes about his bit. Fishlegs, always nervous and silly and goofy, and I just love Christopher Mintz-Plasse and Jonah Hill. The two of them just bring those characters to life in such entertaining ways. And T.J. Miller and Kristen Wiig back as Rough Nut and Tough Nut, and it's just always fun to see the two of them in their hijinks. And riding their dragons, right? I love that they have a two-headed dragon by the time you get to the end. They all get their own dragon. And the cool thing about this movie is the inventiveness of things that they create. At the very beginning, instead of being in the middle of dragon battle, we're in the middle of a different kind of battle, like dragon racing, where you kind of have to get sheep, throw them in for different points, and the black sheep is the most points, so you can still win even if you're losing at the end. Such a fun game, so entertaining and visually pleasing to watch. As is this whole movie, man. Like I said, the cast in all these movies really, really is so strong. And what's great is, the first one, Stoic, is kind of your villain because he has this vendetta against the dragons, and we learn the dragons are okay. And then it's so much fun when you see them all interacting with the dragons in this one. But Jaimin Hansu coming in as Drago, what a dark, scary, legit scary kind of bad guy. And Kit Harington, he kind of is one of those guys where he gets kind of saved a couple times by Hiccup's group, and he kind of swings that way, which is really cool. And he's just a nice add. I like the way his character plays both sides, and why he comes around to Hiccup's group to help. And there's a bit between him and Rough Nut that's really, really cute, as Fishlegs and Snotlout kind of fight over Rough Nut the whole movie. And it's just a lot of fun and a really fun way to revisit a place that we love with a new story that advances all of the characters, especially Hiccup and Toothless's storylines. And I could just watch the two of them go all day. I mean, the concept of having Hiccup being able to fly and glide with Toothless is just so much fun. And as he continues to invent and explore more, I love all that stuff. I love the final showdown with Drago at the end. And it's one of these, again, the movie knows how to hit the emotional beats, and it nails you, man, with a sucker punch toward the end of this movie where you're like, it's starting to come, and you're like, oh, no, 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 because there's a very interesting twist with Toothless. And when you find out that there's kind of like these, like, dragon, like the kings of dragons, like the ultimate alpha, can kind of control all the dragons, and something happens with Toothless, and you get to the the emotional punch in this movie, and you're just like, oh my god, heartbreaking, soul crushing. With things that were set up, but again, it builds and advances the characters in ways where Hiccup and Toothless have like a legit kind of bumping of heads until Valka can kind of smooth things over. And the story is just so good in the way it plays out. And like I said, the ultimate end is a lot of fun. There's tons of action. And by the time you get to the end, you, again, really like where you end up. And wonderful spot to pick up going into the third one. So How to Train Your Dragon 2, man, also a slam dunk, awesome, fantastic flick. Even though it ranks third for me amongst the movies. Absolutely loved How to Train Your Dragon 2. This, like I said, this cast is just like, you almost feel like you're with a family. Like you've become a family watching these guys. And the fact that the cast is always back and it's all these players, and even when they add new ones, it just all works really, really well. So there you go, man. Those are all my non-spoiler thoughts on How to Train Your Dragon 2. Now it's your turn. I want to know what you're thinking, man. What are your favorite things, about How to Train Your Dragon 2? Did you like it more than the first one? Where does it fall in the rankings? If you've seen it, of course, leave all that down below. If you haven't, has the Seaman enticed you as much as he did the first and the third one? I hope so, man, because like I said, this series so much fun. I love this series to death. I just love the way that it advances visually. The animation is just so spectacular in this one, and just a nice jump from the first, as is all of the storylines and characters. It's just a wonderful series, start to finish. And God, I want a dragon, man. I just love that they kind of act like puppies, and being a dog guy, I just love watching all the hijinks in action with all the dragons. So leave all that down below in the comments. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new, hop on over and hit that subscribe button. Come join the Cinema Sit Down Squad, kids. And then hit that little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. The Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I'm the Seaman. Now I'm signing off. Peace. Well, that's all living brave. You still here? Check out a video like this one or this one. And hit the subscribe button so you can get alerts and check out everything the Seaman's got at the Cinema Sit Down.